I've never liked suits. They choke me. Not literally, although the tie really does feel like a noose, but in another way, like putting on someone else's skin, straightening your back, faking a smile while screaming inside. But tonight, I'm wearing one. Gray with a black shirt, a bit too big in the shoulders. Rented, just like everyone else. Only I'm not like everyone else. This is my prom. The school gym is shining like something out of a movie. Ribbons, lights, plastic trophies, balloons, music way too loud. Everyone looks happy, like they've all got a ticket to a brilliant future in their pockets. I stand in the corner, leaning against the wall, holding a cup of lemonade in one hand and gripping my phone with the other. I'm looking for him. He's there. Noah. Laughing with our group of friends, brushing his hair back, wearing a white shirt with rolled up sleeves and a bow tie that keeps slipping sideways. His face, it calms me and tortures me. He's been part of my life since we were kids. We built forts, had pillow fights, ate pizza from the same slice, and I always thought, this is happiness. Then I grew up and realized I love him, really love him. I watch him walk up to a girl, Tessa, I think, and smile at her. He whispers something. My insides tighten. A voice in my head hisses, "What do you want him to do? Tell everyone he likes you back?" No, I just want to tell him. I can't keep this inside anymore. I leave the gym. The air is cool, smells like grass. The school garden is empty, only fairy lights swaying in the breeze. My heart is pounding. I type in the messenger, "Come outside, please." 1 second. 2. Typing. Okay. A few minutes later, he appears. His face, familiar, warm, so known. "Alex, why did you leave? Everything okay?" I gulp air like a fish. I want to turn inside out, spill everything, run, vanish. But I stand my ground. "I need to tell you something," I start. My voice cracks. I've held it in for a long time, and I think if I don't say it now, I never will. He looks at me, cautious, but doesn't leave. I, I'm in love. With you. Silence. Time freezes. Inside, everything is already burning. Shame, fear, hope. He doesn't pull away, doesn't laugh. And then I don't know where the courage comes from. I step forward. I kiss him. It's brief, but real. Not a movie, not a dream. It's happening. To me, to him. And when I pull away, I see in his eyes, not disgust. Confusion, yes. Fear, but not hate. "Shit," he whispers. I didn't expect that." I stay quiet. I'm not waiting for an answer. I've already done the hardest part. But then, a flash. I turn. Someone's standing at the edge of the path, phone in hand. And a second later, gone into the darkness. "Did you see that?" I ask, voice hoarse. Noah nods. "Who was that?" "I don't know." We look at each other. For the first time, really see, and suddenly it feels like the end. "Alex, I'm scared. Really scared," he whispers. He turns and walks away, and I stay, alone under the fairy lights, hands trembling, legs numb, but I don't regret it. "Did you see that?" I ask, my voice hoarse. Noah nods. "Who was it?" "I don't know." We look at each other for the first time, really look. And suddenly, it all feels like the end. "Alex, I'm scared. Really scared," he whispers. He turns and walks away, and I stay. Alone, under the fairy lights. My hands are shaking. My legs feel like jelly. But I don't regret it. I go back into the gym. Everything looks the same. Music, laughter, shimmering dresses. I push through the crowd, grab my jacket, and head outside. Of course, I've missed the bus. It's a 20-minute walk home, and I go slowly. I don't look up. By the time I reach the house, it's late. Lights are on. My mom's probably waiting. I unlock the door. She's in the kitchen, just like I thought, holding a mug, wearing a robe. She smiles. "So, how was it?" "Fine," I reply, "just tired. Your dad was waiting for you." "He's not asleep?" "He's in his office?" I nod and head upstairs. His door is slightly ajar. I glance in as I pass and freeze. He's sitting at his desk, a sheet of paper in his hand. I squint. It's a printout A photo. Me and Noah. The kiss. He turns. His gaze is heavy. Not anger, not yet. But something worse. Silent rage. Like the sky just before a storm. I slam my bedroom door shut and fall onto my bed. My heart pounds. My head is spinning. Who took that photo? Who sent it? How did he find out? I don't sleep that night. I hear him on the phone, loud, furious. It can't be him, are you sure? That's not my son, you hear me? Not my son. I press a pillow over my ears, but the words still burn into my skin. In the morning, silence. I go downstairs. The kitchen smells like coffee. Dad is reading the newspaper like nothing happened. Mom is washing dishes. I sit down, unsure what to say. He folds the paper, looks at me. We need to talk. After school. About what? My voice trembles. You know what? I nod. And all day at school, it feels like invisible hands are tightening around my throat. School used to feel like a safe place. Not perfect. Not a place where everyone understood or accepted you. But predictable. I knew the schedule, the classrooms, even the smell of paint in the gym. But today, everything feels different. I feel like a stranger. From the moment I walk in, tension. Like I've been wrapped in clear plastic. Everything muffled, every glance sharper. No one says anything directly, but I feel it all around me. I get to my locker and see it. A sticker right in the center, scrawled across it in marker. Are you a fag? My heart drops. I look around. Two guys from another class walk by. One whispers something to the other. He smirks. I don't know for sure if it's about me, but everything inside screams. Yes. I rip the sticker off and throw it in the trash. My fingers are shaking. For the first time in years, I feel exposed. The walls no longer hide me. First period, civics. Ms. Harper's talking about individual rights, but I can't focus. I just stare at Noah's back, 2 rows ahead. He doesn't turn around once. I text him, "Are you okay?" He reads it, sees it, doesn't reply. Second period, history. We're supposed to work in pairs. The teacher pairs me with Noah by accident. I see him clench his jaw. He walks over and sits down next to me. It's okay, I say quietly. He stays silent. I didn't force you. It was my choice. Alex, quiet, he snaps under his breath. Everyone's listening. I don't care. Well, I do, he answers, not looking at me. My dad's in the military, remember? If he finds out, he doesn't finish. Just gets up and asks the teacher to change partners. The teacher agrees. I'm left alone. During the break, in the bathroom, Jeff, the football team captain, walks in. He smirks. Hey, Alex, didn't know you were one of those. I'm a person, I reply. He smirked, patted me on the shoulder, like he was trying to console me, and good luck, man. You're either going to be a local legend now or a target. We'll see. He walked away, and suddenly, all I wanted was to erase my face, to disappear. In the cafeteria, I sat alone. My usual friends, Josh, Mia, Lena, all acted like they didn't see me. Not with hate, just like I wasn't there at all. And that was even worse than mockery. As I stepped into the hallway after lunch, I saw 2 students looking at a phone and laughing. One of them turned and looked straight at me. There he is. They fell silent. I didn't ask what they were looking at. I already knew. The photo. That photo. In literature class, Ms. Parks read a Walt Whitman poem. I celebrate myself and sing myself. I didn't hear the words. I just stared out the window, wishing everything would vanish, wishing I could be invisible again. But I wasn't invisible anymore. And there was both pain and power in that. I came home earlier than usual. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't take it anymore. School had spat me out. Everything familiar now felt poisonous. The only thing I wanted was a silence. But there was no silence at home. From the moment I walked in, I could feel it. The air was different. Heavy, tense. Like the walls knew what was coming and were bracing to collapse in on themselves. Mom was in the kitchen wearing a robe, a towel wrapped around her head, stirring soup. She turned and smiled. almost like always. But the smile was tight, stretched, like a thread ready to snap. "Hey, sweetheart," she said softly. "Hi," I replied. "Did you eat?" "Not hungry." "How was school?" I shrugged. What could I say? That someone wrote faggot on my locker? That my best friend was avoiding me? That the football team was probably taking bets on who would be the first to hit me behind the gym? That everything I'd feared came true? It was fine. She nodded and turned back to the stove, but I saw her hands trembling. Mom knew. Of course she did. She'd always known, even before I did. I stepped into the hallway and glanced upstairs. Dad's office door was closed, but I could hear his footsteps. He wasn't asleep. He was waiting. We both knew. This talk was inevitable. I went up to my room, locked the door, and sat on my bed. I just sat there for 15 minutes, not moving, trying to figure out what to say, how to say it, where to start, and then a knock on the door. Not loud, flat, cold. "Alex, come downstairs," Dad's voice, low and firm. I got up slowly and went down. The living room was dark, except for a lamp near the couch. Dad sat in his armchair, back straight, his eyes like a scanner. Mom was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she'd gone to the bedroom. Maybe she didn't want to hear this. "Sit down," he said. I sat on the edge of the couch, my heart pounding in my ears. He silently placed a sheet of paper on the table in front of me. I recognized it immediately. The printout of the photo. Me and Noah. The kiss, my confession, my everything. "You gonna explain this?" I was quiet for a long time, then I said, "That's me. You kissed him." "Yes." "Is this a joke, a stunt?" I shook my head. His face stayed stone-like. Only his lips trembled slightly. "I always knew you were weak, but I didn't think you were—" He stopped. "Why did you do it?" "Because I love him. Because I can't keep hiding. Because I want to be myself." He shot up from his chair, his fists clenched. "Be yourself? Is that what this is now? Normal? You want to disgrace this family? Do you have any idea what people will say about me? About your mother?" "What about me?" I stood up too. "Does anyone care about me? Or am I just a name you own?" "Enough," he barked. I flinched. He had never yelled at me like that before. Not once. "You're not my son," he hissed. The silence after that felt louder than any scream. "Say that again," I whispered. "You heard me." "So that's it? One thing, and I'm out?" "That's not a thing, Alex. That's perversion. That's a sickness. I won't allow someone like that to live in this house." "Someone like what? Someone who loves differently? Who doesn't fit in your box?" "Get out." His voice was ice. I didn't argue. I just went upstairs, grabbed my backpack, stuffed it with random clothes, my charger, my phone. I left. Without looking back, he didn't try to stop me. At the door, I saw my mom. She was standing by the wall, her hands pressed to her face. As I passed, she whispered, "I'm sorry, I didn't know how—" I hugged her, briefly, and stepped into the night. It felt like walking into another universe. The world wasn't mine anymore. The house wasn't mine. Even my name felt foreign inside me. Alex? Who is that? A son? A student? No, no one. My backpack thumped against my back. Cold air snuck under my collar. The wind blew sharp like needles. It was early summer, but the night felt determined to prove that nothing is ever truly warm. I walked without direction. My legs carried me through familiar streets until I found myself near Liam's house. He knew. He'd always known. The only person I once, months ago, half asleep and crying, had whispered to, "I think I'm in love with him." I stopped at his door and texted, "Are you home? Can you come out?" He opened the door almost instantly, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, face sleepy but worried. "Alex, what happened?" "I got kicked out," I said simply. No drama. He stepped aside. "Come in." I entered. His room smelled like deodorant, pizza, and something else. Safe. A little piece of normal left in the world. Do your parents know? I think they do now. I sat on the floor, not the bed. It felt too clean, too perfect. I didn't feel worthy of it. Shit. Liam sat down beside me. I thought he'd be mad, but not throw you out. So did I. We sat in silence. He gave me a blanket, some water, and just stayed close. That was all I needed. No words, no comfort, just presence. I fell asleep on the floor next to his bed like a stray dog someone let in out of pity. The morning was harsh. I woke up to voices in the hallway. Is that him? Mom, keep your voice down. You invited him to spend the night? What, is he going to live here now? I got up and walked to the door. Liam stood between his mom and me like a shield. He's my friend. He just stayed for one night. His father kicked him out because... She lowered her voice. Because he's... Well, you know. I know, so what? She shook her head. It's your choice, Liam, but don't drag our family into someone else's problems. Pause. Is he leaving today? I understood without another word. I got dressed, went downstairs, and without meeting her eyes, said, Thanks for the night. I won't bother you again. Liam tried to say something, but I was already out the door, back on the street again. Second day without a home. My phone was dying, charger in my backpack, but nowhere to plug it in. I stepped into a supermarket just to warm up. Bought a bun with my last few coins. Then I went to the school locker room, I still knew the code, and locked myself in a corner, laid down on a bench, curled up. It was dark and cold, but at least it had a roof. Later that day, I ran into Noah. He was walking down the street with his backpack. When he saw me, his eyes widened. I could tell immediately. He knew. The photo had spread. It was no longer a secret. Alex, hey, I didn't know your dad. Kicked me out? Yeah, now you know. He said nothing, then quietly, They told me not to talk to you. And you're going to listen? He didn't answer. Just stood there, ashamed, silent, hurt. I turned and walked away. Let it be what it is. I had nothing left to lose. That evening, I made my way to the backyard of my grandmother's old house. It stood abandoned like a memory, but the key hidden under the flower pot was still there. The door was stiff but opened. It smelled like dampness and the past. I stepped in, put down my backpack, closed the door behind me. Silence. Complete solitude. But for the first time, no judgment. I walked into the living room. Dust-covered walls, furniture under sheets. I pulled a blanket off a chair, laid down on the floor, and closed my eyes. Is this rock bottom? I thought. But then it hit me. No. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. I woke up to a creaking sound. Thought someone was walking through the house. But when I sat up, the room was the same. Shadows, dusty curtains, a wall lined with faded family photos. Grandma's house had been empty for years. And even though it felt eerie, I felt safe. Because no one here looked at me like a stain. I turned on the flashlight on my phone. 9% battery. Didn't care. I went to the kitchen. Found an old box of tea. Tasteless and dry, but warm. It heated my hands. Then I remembered the dresser in the bedroom. Grandma used to keep letters there. Photos, strange little things, recipe notes, postcards signed, For Laura from E. I'd always wondered who E was. The dresser was in the corner, covered in a cloth. I pulled it off. A cloud of dust hit my face. I coughed, but my hands were already digging. One drawer, then another, and then, in the third, I found a stack of letters. Yellowed envelopes. Neat, feminine handwriting. All addressed to Mom. All from E. At first I didn't understand, but then I opened the first letter and froze. Laura, I still can't forget that night on the shore. You held my hand and I thought, if the world ends, I'm ready for you. But then you turned away. Said we couldn't be like that. Said your family, said this will pass. I think you were lying. Not to me. To yourself. I read it like I was underwater, my heart pounding. This wasn't just a friend, it was love. My mother had loved a woman. The next letter. Laura, I heard you're getting married. I hope he takes care of you. And even if you chose the right life, I still carry that night in my heart. And another. Sometimes I think you didn't love him. You were just scared. I would have been scared too. There's no space for us in this world. I closed the envelope. My hands were shaking. My mom had been like me, but she'd been forced to choose. They broke her, gently, quietly, without shouting. She gave up her love. I sat on the floor and just sat. 10 minutes, maybe more. The world had changed. Not black and white anymore, layered. I wasn't alone. I was the continuation of something that hadn't survived, but now had a chance. I took one of the letters and slipped it into my pocket. To remember, to hold on to the fact that my mom once trembled from love too. Later, I wandered into the living room again. On the mantel stood an old photo, Mom, Dad, and me at around 5. Dad's arm around my shoulders, a smile on the photo. But now I looked and saw the strain behind it. A performance. And I wondered, maybe he's pretending too. Maybe he was forced into a role as well. Maybe all of this was just fear, reflected back and forth. I sat down on the couch and whispered into the dark. I won't break. Not like you, Mom. Not like him. That night, I slept with the letters beside me. And for the first time since that evening, I didn't cry. When I woke up, sunlight was filtering through the dusty curtains. The air in Grandma's house was still stale, but it smelled familiar, like old books, like a quiet past that no longer judges. The letters were still beside me. I touched one gently with my finger. My mother's letters. Her voice, different now. Raw. Real. And I couldn't unhear it. I didn't want to call her. Didn't know what I'd even say. I was angry. I felt betrayed. But I also understood. She'd been a victim too. And part of me wanted her to know. I found them. I understood. Around noon, I finally dialed her number. Let it ring and ring, then her voice, soft, tired. Hello? It's me, I said. Silence. Alex, oh my God, where are you? I'm at Grandma's house. Are you okay? Yeah, still breathing. Can I come? I didn't answer right away. Then I exhaled. Come. She arrived about an hour later. I stood on the porch watching her car crawl up the old gravel road. She got out in no makeup, wearing a simple jacket. She walked slowly, like she was afraid I might vanish if she moved too fast. Hi, she said. I nodded. We stood in silence. Only the wind played with the ends of her scarf. Finally, she took a step closer. Can I come in? Of course. We went inside. I offered her a seat, poured her some water. Still silent. I'm sorry, she said at last. I didn't know he would kick me out. I looked at her. Would you have done any differently? I don't know. You do, I interrupted. I think you know it all too well. She lowered her eyes, her fingers laced tightly, nails digging into her palms. She looked like she was waiting for a verdict. I found the letters, I said. From E? She flinched, paused, then slowly raised her head. You read them? All of them. Especially the one where you said, we can't do this, that it would pass. She was quiet for a long time, then she whispered, I was scared. Did they force you? Not directly. It was like soft pressure. Words, looks, hints, my mom, my dad, school, everyone. Back then, you couldn't be different. You couldn't even think about being different. Did you love her? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Yes, I loved her, truly. But I was too young. I got scared. I chose the path that seemed safe. And now here I am, with a husband who doesn't know how to love anyone, not even himself. I looked at her, and for the first time, she didn't feel like Mom. She was a woman, tired, wounded, a woman who had once been broken too. Why didn't you do anything when he threw me out? She sighed. Tears slid down her cheeks. Because I'm a coward. Because I lived my whole life afraid to raise my voice. Because I always told myself, the most important thing is keeping the family together. And when it all collapsed, I just didn't know how to do the right thing. You didn't protect me, I said, not as an accusation, just as a fact. I know, she whispered, but I want to try now. She got up, walked across the room, and stopped at the old wardrobe. This house, it's the only place I ever felt like myself. It's where I wrote to her, where I cried, and now you're here. I stepped closer. Did you know about me? She nodded. I suspected, but I hoped I was wrong, because I thought it would hurt you. And still you stayed silent, because I didn't know how to speak. I've been silent for so long, Alex. We sat down again. She began, he won't change. He won't accept you. His father was worse. He was taught to be ashamed of anything different. Now he's trying to raise you the same way. But you're not like him. I exhaled. And you? I want to be different. For you. And maybe for myself, too. I want to stop repeating my mistake. I slowly pulled a letter from my pocket. This one, I said. The shortest, but the most honest. She took it in her hands. Her own handwriting, her words. I saw her lips tremble. I never thought anyone would read this. I'm glad I did. We sat side by side, in silence. But this silence didn't weigh heavy. It was acceptance. You can stay here, she said. I'll take care of everything. I'll bring clothes, food, and I'll tell your father I'm leaving for a while. He won't stop you. I don't think so. He's always thought I don't make decisions, but maybe now I do. I smirked. How many years did it take to say that out loud? She smiled through tears. Almost 20. I'm 17. Think I still have a chance to be myself sooner? I think you already are. That night, I didn't feel lost. That night, I knew I wasn't alone. That fear didn't run through my veins. Resistance did. That even the most broken people can still find a voice. And Mom chose to speak. And to live. That whole night, I didn't sleep. Grandma's house breathed in silence. Mom had gone to bed in the old bedroom. And I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold tea and a sheet of paper in front of me. Writing by hand felt strange. I was used to typing, to screens, but this letter couldn't be digital. It had to be alive. As imperfect as I was. As real as the pain I'd been waking up with the past few days. At first, I didn't know how to begin. Didn't know if I should address him as Dad, Father, or just David. None of it felt right. So in the end, I just started writing. No salutation. I don't know where to begin. You probably won't want to read this. Maybe you'll throw it away the moment you recognize my handwriting. But if somehow you've made it this far, it means you decided to hear me out. At least once. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I didn't do anything wrong. I kissed the person I love. I told him something I couldn't keep inside any longer. Yes, it was a boy. And no, I'm not ashamed of it. For years, I tried to be the son you wanted me to be. I played football, stayed quiet about my feelings, laughed at things I didn't find funny. I was scared, constantly. Scared of you. Not your fists. You never hit me. But your disappointment, your silence, your judging eyes even when you didn't say a word. You loved me when I was right, when I didn't ask questions, when I was normal. But the moment I stepped out of your design, I vanished. You said, "You're not my son." You threw those words like a knife in my back. But I still stayed alive. Not because you forgave me, but because I forgave myself. I found Mom's letters. Found her secret, her love, her fear. I saw how both of you lived lives where you hid who you were, and I realized, I don't want that. Dad, I don't want you to accept me out of guilt or fear of losing me. I don't want you to pretend. I just want you to see me as a person. With your last name, with your eyes, but with my heart. I don't hate you. I'm angry. Yes, it hurts, but I still love you in my own way. If you ever want to understand me, you know where to find me. Alex, I reread the letter, word by word, didn't correct a single mistake, because pain isn't meant to be edited. I slipped it into an envelope and wrote simply on the front, "For Dad." then sealed it. The next morning, I rode my bike to the building where he worked, a small architecture firm downtown. I knew his routine. He always parked near the side entrance and tossed his morning paper into the bin. I waited until he went inside, then quickly slid the envelope under the windshield wiper on the driver's side. Then I sat on the bench across the street, waiting. My heart beat in my ears. I wanted to run, to not see what came next. Half an hour later, he came out, briefcase in one hand, coffee in the other, same composed look. He walked to the car, noticed the letter. I froze. He picked it up, turned it over in his hands. Did he recognize my handwriting? Maybe. He didn't throw it away. He slipped it into his coat pocket. I don't know if he read it that day, or that night, or a week later. Maybe he still hasn't opened it. But I did what I needed to do. I gave him the truth. Not with shouting, no, not with pleading for acceptance, but simply because I had the right to. When David got into the car, the day was as gray as always. Dull sky, frozen city, tasteless coffee. But in his pocket was a white envelope, no stamps, no return address, only for Dad. He recognized the handwriting immediately. Alex, his son. He placed the envelope in the glove compartment, closed it, reached for it a few times, only to shut it again. Letters never mattered to him. Anything important was said face to face, brief, clear, to the point. Words on paper were for the weak, for those who couldn't speak their feelings. But that evening, when he came home, the house was silent. Laura didn't ask how his day went. She didn't serve dinner. She just sat in her chair, reading, didn't look up, didn't say a word. And in that silence, David realized the loneliness had already begun. He opened the glove compartment, took the letter, sat down in his office, tore the edge open. He read it slowly. Then again, his fingers trembled. Then he set it down, closed his eyes, and he saw a different time. 1979. He was 16, summer, a dusty road, he and Jamie walking barefoot. Jamie, red hair, freckles, dirty knees, his best friend. They laughed, spit cherry pits, built rafts, lay in the grass, talked about who they'd be when they grew up. Jamie wanted to go to California. David, to stay and build a house. Everything felt simple, clean. But one day, David's father found them sitting in the old barn. They were laughing, whispering, nothing special had happened, just friendship. But his father's stare was ice. "You spend too much time with him," he said at dinner. "Boys don't sit that close, don't laugh like that." David didn't understand. Not then. But later, he did. When his father dug into his school notebook, read the lines in his essay where he wrote, Jamie was the most important person in the world, and gave him a talk that turned that day to ash. "You don't write about feelings like that. You're a boy, not some girl. Got it?" He got it. The next day, he avoided Jamie. A week later, stopped answering his calls. And when Jamie moved out of state with his family, he didn't say goodbye. He buried that friendship silently. He picked up Alex's letter again, read it aloud in a whisper, each paragraph, a blade between the ribs. He saw that Alex wrote calmly. No begging, no plea. I heard the car before I saw it. The crunch of tires on gravel, a soft engine hum. The house was quiet. Mom was in the garden. I stood at the window and watched the familiar dark gray car approach slowly. He stepped out. Dad. I saw it right away. He hadn't come to fight. He stood at the gate in his old jacket, holding something in his hand. I think it was a piece of paper. His shoulders slumped, his face tense, but not angry. I stepped onto the porch. The wind lifted my hair. Our eyes met. "Hi," I said first. He nodded. A deep, heavy nod, like it was all he could manage. "Can we talk?" I nodded back. He didn't move right away. He hesitated, and then gathering himself, he slowly opened the gate and walked toward me. Every step looked like effort. He stopped at the bottom step of the porch. "I read your letter," he said, voice hoarse. "I know, I was waiting." He was silent for a moment, then handed me the paper. I unfolded it. It was his reply. Handwritten. "I don't understand. But I don't want to lose you. I'll try." I read the lines again, then I looked him in the eye. That's already a lot," I said. I don't know what to do now." Just don't shut down, he nodded. All my life I thought I was doing the right thing, that I was raising you the way a man should be raised. Thought I was making a man out of you. I stepped forward, almost meeting his gaze. I'm not asking you to understand right away, or to accept. I'm not here to justify how I live. I just want you to know. I'm your son, and I exist. I know, he said quietly. I know now. He paused, then added, Your mom's strong. I thought she'd break, but she chose you. And you? He looked into my eyes. I'm trying. A pause. That's honest, I said. I stood up and walked over. He got up too. We stood face to face. It's hard for me, he said. I grew up in a different world. So did I, but I chose not to be silent. He nodded, then gently, almost as if asking permission. Can I hug you? Without a word, I stepped forward and hugged him. And it wasn't like before. Not the kind of hug saved for holidays, not something obligatory. It was a bridge, a first step. That day didn't bring a miracle. We didn't become the perfect family. Not every wound healed. But he stayed. He acknowledged that I exist, and surprisingly, that was enough. A month passed. School was over. The house I grew up in now felt distant, like a town I once visited. But Grandma's house? It became real. Even with peeling walls, creaky floors, and the hallway lamp that's been flickering for 3 weeks, here I can breathe. Here I wake up not in fear, but in quiet. Mom's still with me. We don't hide anymore. She serves tea in a mug that says, Be yourself, and smiles, like she's finally letting herself feel that smile. Sometimes she says she's sorry for being silent so long. I always answer, But now you speak. We often just sit together, each in our own silence. And that's the best kind of conversation. Dad's come by 3 times. The first time, silent. The second, with a jar of strawberry jam, the kind he makes every summer. The third time, he brought an old desk lamp. Said it might light up when things get dark. I don't ask what's going on inside him. It's enough that he came. That he didn't run. He still doesn't understand. But he's there. And that's enough. I used to think being myself meant being loud, beating my chest, proving I deserved love, shouting to the world. But it turns out, being yourself is quiet, steady, alive. It's where you don't explain. Don't hide, you just live. Noah and I still text sometimes, nothing complicated, no romance. We're both learning how to breathe in new skins, in new worlds. Who knows what he'll mean to me in the future? A friend? Nothing? Maybe something more. It doesn't matter now. What matters is, there's no fear in his voice when he talks to me anymore, and none in mine. I often walk into the woods behind the house. There's a little clearing where lilies of the valley used to grow. Now it's empty, but there's something good in that too. I sit on an old tree stump, close my eyes, listen to myself. And suddenly I hear something amazing. Silence. Not emptiness, but peace. As if I've finally stopped shouting at myself. As if that voice, and the one that always whispered, Be like everyone else, has gone quiet. And what's left is just me. I don't know what the road ahead will look like. There'll be more wounds, more days when I'll want to hide. But now I know this for sure. I have a place to be. I know who I am. And I have something to say. If someone asks, I exist, and I'm staying.